my channel. Guess what today is? It's my anniversary. I have officially been in New York for 1 month, which is just crazy to think about that it has been like 30 whole days since I packed up all my stuff in Ohio and moved to the Big Apple. It's crazy. So I just wanted to give you guys an update of what I've been doing for the past month, and how I even got here in the first place, because I realized I never actually told that story. So in like 2015, I had the sudden urge and desire to move to New York. I don't know where it came from, because if I'm being completely honest, the first time I came to New York, I was not feeling it. I felt like it was gross. I felt like there was too many people. There was no way I was gonna figure out where things were. I did not enjoy my time here. Granted, I did come as a chaperone for a youth trip with an entire Greyhound full of high schoolers, so that probably has something to do with it. I wasn't here to enjoy myself. I was here to chaperone a youth trip. So taking all of that into account, I was like, okay, I'll give New York another chance. So in 2015, I was like, okay, I had just done 2 shows. I did Shaking the Mess Out of Misery and The Color Purple in fall of 2013 and spring of 2014. And at this point, I was bit back with the performing bug and was like, I want to go somewhere where I can perform. And I had no idea what the performing scene really was in Cincinnati. I just so desperately wanted to be in New York. So I had was putting money aside. I had a great job. I was saving money, and I was like, I'm moving to New York. This is just, it's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna pack up all my stuff and I'm just gonna hoof it. No idea where I'm gonna live. Probably Brooklyn. That sounds cool. I don't know a single soul in New York City, but I'm going to New York. Like, that was the plan, period. And that summer I was like in church, I think. Maybe, I don't really remember, but I was like I think I was in a service, and God was like, you can't go right now. And I was like, pause, what? He was like, no, you can't go to New York. And I was like, but you said the last time I prayed about this, the last time I talked to you about this, that I could go. So what do you mean I can't go to New York anymore? And God was like, yeah, you're right. I told you you can go to New York, but I didn't tell you when you can go to New York. I just said you can go. And so I was like, oops, my bad. I guess I had put a timeline on it because it made sense to me. And how often are we like, oh, this makes sense. This must be what God was talking about. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, not ask any questions. I'm not going to pray about it anymore. I'm just going to do it. I'm very grateful that I decided to pray about it one last time before I started telling people that I wanted to go. And that was what I was doing, because God was like, Arch! Relax, we're not doing this yet. So that was 2015. I continued to work, and I felt so unfulfilled. I wasn't really involved in the theater anymore. I was dancing at my church, which was great, and I went to a really amazing performing arts church. Shout out to Overflow Ministries Covenant Church. I miss you guys. It was an amazing performing arts church, so I had an opportunity to still perform, minister, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't what I was hoping for. It wasn't what I was looking for. It was a great holding spot, but it was not exactly what I wanted. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So, anywho, fast forward to 2016. And I was like, all right, I'm going to just take a random theater class in our theater department, see how I feel about it, see how I like these professors, and maybe I'll go to grad school for theater. I took a class with Dr. LaDonna Forsgren, who has my heart. She's amazing. I love her and the entire Forsgren family. And she really is the reason why I decided to go to grad school for theater. Ironically enough, she left the year that I was coming in, so I wasn't gonna have an opportunity to have her as a professor again or on my thesis committee, but I still feel like this was the decision that I was supposed to make. So I spent the next 2 years in grad school, and I applied in 2017, got in, and started the fall of 2017. And throughout that time, I was like, okay, what do you want to do? because I love acting. I enjoy acting, and I thought, okay, that must be what I want to do. But my knowledge of the theater was limited to community theater and high school theater, and the little ins and out that I knew of the industry because I just pay attention to these things. And but not a lot of it was coming from firsthand experience. So I was like, okay, what can I learn in this time frame? And in that time, I met my mentor, Tori Wiggins. Love you also. And gained a lot of knowledge from her on just the industry, on being an actor, being a writer, living in New York, that whole fun thing. And so in the fall of 2017, I was looking for summer opportunities for the summer of 2018 because I'm an overachiever and I started really early. And I came across this program at Stella Adler Studio of Acting. And it was a self-generated theater intensive, and this program was intended for artists who want to create their own work, who want to tell their own stories or tell the stories of their people or even of others, of strangers, who want an opportunity to build from the ground up, who don't necessarily want to take a role from someone at random, but who wanted to do the work, do the writing, be in the nitty-gritty, in the trenches, grassroots of the work. And so I went ahead and applied for this program. I got into the program and realized that I was going to be spending 5 weeks in New York City in the summer of 2018, and was like, this was the dream. This was the absolute dream because I've been wanting to be out here since 2015, and I was like, well, at least I get these 5 weeks and this is going to be great. I did the program. I met some really amazing people. I did some really great work. Was able to take that stuff back into the creation of my thesis, and it was great. I also got into the Black Arts Institute that summer, but unfortunately I found out so late I wasn't able to stay, which would have been another amazing opportunity to have 5 weeks studying and doing the work, but that is important and specific to me and to our people. And so I was really sad that I wasn't going to be able to do that program, but I was like, it's okay. Being here for those first 5 weeks, though, I knew that this is where I needed to be, that this is where I wanted to be. I tell everyone it was the hardest and best time of my entire life. I was the brokest I have ever been. I have never eaten so much spaghetti before in my entire life, but it also was the happiest. It was the absolute happiest that I had been as well. And so I was like, this is it. This is where I need to be. So I started making plans that when I finished grad school the following year, I'd be making my way here. That Black Arts program that I got into for the summer, I was able to defer it to January of 2019 and come back to New York in 2019 to do that program. It's kind of an accelerated version of that program for an entire week. And while I would have loved to have done the 5 week full program, that 1 week again solidified that I wanted to be here, but even more so enriched the idea of me wanting to tell our stories. It became so much more important to me as a writer to be able to put our stories on the stage and on the screen, and to give us the opportunity as Black people, as Black Americans more specifically, and even as Black women, to share our stories, be it of trials and tribulations, which I think we get a lot of, but also of our triumphs, of our relationships with our parents, with our spouses, with our friends, etc. So being there for that week, though I was there as a part of an acting program, and I got to act in front of Ruben Santiago Hudson, which was amazing. Love you, Uncle Rube. What was even more amazing for me was sitting at the feet of Dr. Sonia Sanchez and listening to her pass the mantle to this new generation of Black artists to continue telling our stories, and to continue the work that she was so graciously a part of in the Black arts movement. So that was crazy, but it also solidified to me that I absolutely was moving to New York in July. And so I just said I was going. I picked a date and I said I was going. My best friend got married the first weekend in July, so I was like, okay, well, I can't leave then And so I was like, when do I leave? And I just arbitrarily picked the weekend of the 19th. I was like, I just want to go. It's halfway through the month, and I have to be out of my apartment in Oxford by the 26th. So the 19th it is. I'm just going to go. And so I did. It worked out beautifully that my oh so gracious and amazing mentor also needed to be out in the East Coast that weekend. And so she drove out with me and moved me in. And here we are, a month later. I am here and thriving. So what have I been doing? I've done a lot, but a little. I'm the type of person, I'm so used to being busy. I'm so used to being busy all the time and constantly having things to do that I've actually had more downtime than I'm used to. And so that's been interesting. But when I first got here, I got here on the 20th at midnight that morning, and was all moved in and settled in somewhere around 2:33 in the morning. And that following Tuesday, I had to head up to Irvington, New York, which is just outside the city, like Westchester area, to the Eileen Fisher Leadership Institute, where I did a workshop with high schoolers. They were 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, girls and boys, as a part of their Leading with Impact program. And in that program, it was really neat because I was able to use performance techniques in theater, but also to teach these students about how to use their privilege to show up for others. So we did a privilege activity, explained to them that privilege is not just white privilege, which we hear so often in rhetoric in this country, but that there are other privileges, including education and gender privilege and things of that nature. And so kind of had that big conversation with them, and then we got to get into the nitty-gritty of some improv. And they were given scenarios of opportunities to use their privilege to stand up for someone else, and to see them take so kindly to essentially being exposed. I think we hear privilege in a negative light, and that's not the case. And so that was great. And then they got to do a little bit of acting with the improv, and really getting on their feet and thinking about what it means to show up for their counterparts. And so that was really great. And then this past week, I did another workshop with the Eileen Fisher Leadership Institute with their Awakening program, which is for girls going into the 9th grade. And this program was about building community and confidence and connection with each other. And so I was able to sit with them and help them tell the story of what it means to be a young woman, and what it means to have doubts and to have insecurities, and at times be bullied, or wanting to live up to this world that social media tries to convince us is real, when we all know it's just a highlight reel. We know it's fake. We know that it's not real, and yet we still find ourselves trying to hold up to this this fake world. And we were able to tell that story of that journey of dealing with those insecurities and those desires to fit in, as well as dealing with how we as women sometimes can contribute to another woman feeling insecure, and how we sometimes have the ability to tear each other down. While at the same time, we talked about and were able to deal with what it means to be the person who lifts them up instead, and to encourage one another instead, and then ending triumphantly. And so we did that through movement. We did that through dance. And so I was able to, on the spot, choreograph a routine with these girls to use at their final showcase at the end of the week, that kind of tells that story, that tells that journey. And so naturally there was some Lizzo and some Beyonce that was thrown in the mix, because who doesn't feel good when they're listening to Lizzo and they're listening to Beyonce? So that was really amazing. Those girls will forever have my heart. It was such a wonderful opportunity, and a privilege to work with. What else? I'm working. I still work at Starbucks. I'll be happy when I leave Starbucks, but for now, it's helping pay the bills, so I'll do it. I've applied for a few different positions as an artist, so I'm just waiting to hear back. So if you pray, I appreciate those prayers to Abba Father. If you don't, if you want to send some good vibes, some positive muju, what is it called? Anyway, want to send some positive energy towards your girl, I'd greatly appreciate it. What else? Yeah. So New York is great. It's super dumb expensive. And like I knew that, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. But I'm grateful because there has not been a time that I've been here where I've needed for anything. I haven't even wanted for anything, and for that I am extremely grateful because I don't know how many people can say that. I moved out here on a hope and a prayer. I have come to New York with, I'm not going to tell you how much money in my pocket, just know that it wasn't a lot. And I am fully trusting God throughout this journey. I am fully trusting God throughout this process. And I believe that He's going to make it happen. This is His dream. And as someone told me earlier this summer, God funds His plans. So I'm not going to trip about it. I even visited a church that my apostle from Overflow sent me to. And though I wasn't a fan of the church as a whole, the word that came through, baby, listen, just know that I now understand why I was supposed to visit there. I absolutely understand why I needed to be there. It was just a reminder to me that I'm in the right place, and I'm doing what God wants me to do. And so that's really exciting. That's really grateful. I'm really grateful for that. Yeah, so it's been great, but it's also been hard. It is crazy how you can feel so alone in a city that has so many people. And I know a lot of people too. Like, I'm grateful that I did Black Arts. I'm grateful that I did self-generated intensive. I have some great friends from there and some really awesome acquaintances and associates as well from the programs. And I live with one now. Like, it's so great to come here knowing people. My life would have been drastically different in 2015 if I'd come when I wanted to, and I think I would have returned back to Ohio or maybe even to Louisiana. I don't think I would have made it. So I'm grateful that I listened when I didn't come out here when I wasn't supposed to. But it's tough at times because to be alone with your own thoughts for days on end, hours on end. The mind is a powerful place. It is. I don't have any other way to explain it other than to say that if you don't control what's happening in your mind, it can get tough. And so being in New York has taught me the power and the necessity for strengthening my relationship with Christ, first of all, and doing like my devotionals and making sure that I at least go to church on Sundays. It has taught me and reminded me of the necessity for affirmations, and just being conscious of like the way that you speak to yourself. I think that sometimes we don't realize that we're negatively speaking to ourselves, but it is so necessary to like be conscious of the crap that you say to yourself. There's enough people in this world who are talking crap about you that you don't need to be doing it to yourself, and it's not fair to you. And so it has taught me the necessity of like making sure that I am reminding myself that I like have purpose, that I'm here for a reason, that things may not look like right now, I've only been here a month, but they may not look how I would desire them to look. Like a hot girl summer, the girl's been hot, but it has not been a hot girl summer. I didn't get to live that lavish life that I know I could have had I stayed in Ohio. Just for the simple fact that it would have been cheaper to do so in Ohio. And so like that can get frustrating. I'm used to a certain lifestyle and I've had to cut back a lot. And I don't like telling myself no. So I wanted to shop the other day and I had to tell myself, no, groceries are more important. You're not on a college campus anymore. So I'm learning a lot about myself. I am growing. The amount of growth that has taken place from July 18th to August 20th, from the day before I got on that road to now, I don't even know how to begin to describe it. I don't even know how to begin to explain it. Just know that it's happening. I've matured a lot. I have grown spiritually a lot. I have grown emotionally a lot in the last month. And I'm still growing. There's still room for growth. But yeah, so that's cool. Things I wasn't expecting in New York. I knew I was going to have to walk a lot, but bruh. And I have really crappy shoes. So shout out to my grandma. Love you, mommy. Who decided to buy me a new pair of shoes. Like walking shoes. Like good orthopedic, like gel insole walking shoes. Because I don't wear 90% of my shoes. I got rid of a lot before I left. But I think my shoes are going to get another purge in the near future. Because I have like one good pair of walking sandals. One good pair of like tennis shoes. And two pairs of Sperry's, and those are the only shoes that are in rotation right now. Quite literally, I don't wear any other shoes for the simple fact that like I gotta walk. It's like a 4.5 block walk just to the subway, which is like 10 minutes and like a half a mile just to get to the freaking subway to head into the city. And it's like a block away to the bus stop. So like at minimum, I'm walking 1 to 5 blocks. Just to be able to get on another mode of transportation to walk even more. I also live on the 3rd floor of a walk-up. So I'm just going to say this. By the time I come back to visit, I'm probably going to be skinny. I don't know how much weight I've lost in the last month because I'm not really clocking. I don't care. But I'm pretty sure I'm down a couple pounds. Like, my clothes don't even fit from all this walking. So, anyway, just know that when all this melts off, it's over for you hoes. It's over. Also, I didn't realize how often you have to make groceries. Like, how often you actually have to grocery shop. And that sounds ridiculous, and I tell my mom this all the time, and she's like, what do you mean? Like, you weren't making groceries, like you weren't grocery shopping. And I realized that, yeah, I was grocery shopping like once a month. I also got paid once a month, so that's partially why it was only once a month. But at the same time, I realized I was on a college campus living in college housing, even though I was grown as crap because I was older in grad school. And so there were so many times where student organizations would be like, free food, and I'm like, yes, please. My apartment complex would be like, free food, and I was like, yes, please. My roommates or my friends would cook dinner and be like, hey, come over and eat, and I'm like, yes, please. My mentor and that good old payroll deduction, love you, free food. My department, free food. Like, I didn't realize how much free food I got until I've been away from it for the past month. I have been basically on a college campus for 10 years. Like, I went there for 4 years, I worked there for 4 years, and then I was in grad school for 2 years. And so I was attached to so many opportunities to eat for free for the past 10 years that I was like, this is adulting.
This is the most ghetto thing I've ever done in my life.
And I want my kid card back. Y'all could take this adult stuff. I'm over it. I'm over it. over it. So that was fun. That has been a I don't even have words. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And I don't like it. But I guess this is my new normal, and I'm going to get used to it, which means I have to do the B word, budgeting. Say a prayer for the kid, because budget has never been in my vocabulary. So this is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Yeah, so that's my update. This is New York, and I am excited for what the next 30 days and the next 30 days after that and after that hold for me. I'm excited for this is my new normal, and figuring out what the heck that is. I am excited to learn more about myself. I'm excited to meet new people, to learn more about others, and to see what happens. So this is great. And yeah, I guess I'll talk to you guys later.